From the very beginning, we were a Southern nationalist organization with the goal of a free and independent South. Yeah, we went to Charlottesville in August of 2017 for that Unite the Right rally, and I was to be one of the main speakers protesting the removal of the Robert E. Lee statue, which had been there 125 years or so. And it turned into what the police called a riot, and it turned into a riot mainly because they stood down and didn't do anything to stop it. And I'm not the only one who said that. There was a report commissioned, the Heaphy report commissioned by the city of Charlottesville, who said the same thing. Largely the authorities didn't do their job and let this thing get out of hand. And we ended up getting sued, me and my chief of staff and the league itself. We're defendants in a lawsuit, civil lawsuit. I wasn't surprised because I know the way the enemy operates. I've been doing this for going on, between 25 and 30 years now, and I've learned how the enemy operates, and it's not honorably, and it's not based on the truth. So I was not surprised that this happened. I was kind of expecting it, but once it becomes a reality, then, you say, well, now I have to deal with this. So we had to get a lawyer and have had to spend a lot of time over the last almost 4 years preparing a case and waiting to see what's going to happen. And the charges against us were that we conspired to riot and deprive certain locals of their civil rights, which is obviously untrue. But we'll be going to Charlottesville in October to defend ourselves in a court of law against these charges. Now, we have reached a lot of people, but it's through the media, who is extremely hostile normally. So we've reached a lot of people, but it hasn't been with the message necessarily that we wanted to get out. It's, well, look how evil these guys are because they would dare take a stand for the South, But we have, I guess the biggest disappointment is the fact that a lot of people, even though they will agree with us logically, they won't take the step to become activists, because I think the wolf is not at the door yet. And sometimes when the wolf comes to the door, it's too late. And we've been trying to tell people that you need to join us before that day comes, So I've been a little disappointed at that, but people are very prosperous and people are comfortable and they're very reluctant to get out of that prosperous and comfortable mode to put themselves on the line where they might end up, getting hurt, getting involved in some things with the legal system that they don't want to get involved with. And I guess that's been the big disappointment. We are more focused on the positive aspects of promoting our own people and our own cause and trying to get people who are native Southerners to love the traditions that have been passed down to them. But the media thinks that somehow that equates to hatred of other people, and it really doesn't. I don't hate somebody for what God created them to be. I will oppose them if they oppose me, but we've tried to have this positive message of loving our own people and civilization and our culture. But as I said, the media always tries to twist that into some kind of hatred, for something or someone. I've studied history and I know what my ancestors sacrificed for me and for others. And they did it out of a sense of duty, a Christian duty mainly. And I figured that if I wanted to claim the bloodline of an honorable people, that I would be called upon to do the same thing, to do my duty and make sacrifices if necessary. I'm certainly, to be honest, I'm glad that Donald Trump won over Hillary Clinton in 2016, because I think that would have been a disaster for everybody. But I've never seen Trump as any kind of savior, anything like that. I don't completely trust him because he's a politician. Some say he's a different breed of politician, maybe not, but that's mainly the reason. I couldn't see, as being a Southern nationalist, voting in a national election. Well, first of all, as a Southern nationalist, a Southern secessionist, I thought it would be rather hypocritical of me to participate in national elections, seeing that my goal was to get the South out of the, American empire, as it were. I thought it just seemed a little hypocritical. And secondly, from a more practical standpoint, it's hard to find anybody I thought that was worthy of my vote. I will vote in my state and local elections. So the question you ask about the issue of hatred, anybody today who is actively pro-white, when I say pro-white, all I mean is, I speak and act in the interest of my own people, beginning with myself and my family who are white. And you extrapolate that to defend your people in general, Southerners who, I consider to be white people. They think that somehow you must hate other people. Well, that just isn't true. I mean, if somebody gives me a reason to hate them, I will, but I don't just hate people because they happen to be different from me. And I'm always, we're kind of a meme society today with social media and everything, and there's one that kind of sums this up. You got a picture of a black man saying, "I'm proud to be a black man." You have a picture of an Asian guy saying, "I'm proud to be an Asian." You have a picture of a Hispanic guy saying, "I'm proud to be Hispanic." And then at the bottom you have a picture of a racist saying, "I'm proud to be white." Well, if you're going to apply the term racist to anybody who speaks well of their own people and acts in their own interest, well, let's either call everybody a racist or nobody a racist. You shouldn't just single out white folks. And because that's being done, I have suspicions that somebody out there is doing this who doesn't like white folks. So I think the hatred is on the other side and not our side.
And if there were to be a succession, what place would blacks have in that society?
Well, I'm not sure. I do think that would be dependent upon their ability and intent to be good members of society. I mean, anybody who works, anybody who obeys the law, anybody who minds their own business, I personally wouldn't have a problem with living around. But I don't believe in giving people favors because they happen to be black or whatever. And I don't, at the same time, feel like they should be persecuted for that. But I do demand this, and that is, this is our home. We should be the majority. We should make the rules. And if we allow other people to live with us, they abide by our rules, just like I would abide by their rules, regulations, culture, traditions, laws, if I went to live in a country in which they were predominant. So I think the multicultural melting pot thing has proven itself to be a disaster, and not just for whites, but for everybody. Because I think you're trying to force a square peg into a round hole. I just don't think it's natural. I think that God created the races, the different ethnicities within the races, as the nations, to live within their own boundaries, bounds and habitations. I think that is what the terms the Bible uses. I think it's a very natural and a very biblical thing. So if it is natural, if it is biblical, then I must support it as a Christian. The idea of people living with their own cultural traditions and not melting them away or blending them into something else and changing not just them but everybody else's, I think would be a catastrophe. And people on the left always talk about diversity, but yet they want people to sort of blend in with this multicultural thing, and in the end you have nothing but a big blob of non-culture. you know, and I understand why black people or Hispanic people or Asian people want to preserve their own way of life. And if you mix all those things up, nobody has anything that's unique. And I think that the uniqueness of God's created order, the diversity of it, is something that we, by being Southern nationalists, are helping to push along, which I think is, as I said, a very biblical thing, a very natural thing. So we're just trying to do what we think is best for our people, and we're willing to grant that same thing to other people who want to do the best that they can for their people. So.